Salah ad-Din al-Ayyubi was born during a period when the Islamic world was divided. The days of the glorious Rashidun, Umayyad and Abbasid caliphates were long gone. The Abbasids, Fatimids, Mamluks, Seljuks and other small states were constantly fighting each other for regional power. The Europeans took advantage of this weak and fragmented Islamic world and launched a brutal invasion that was motivated by the Catholic Church and funded by multiple European countries. In the year 1099, the European Crusaders conquered the city of Jerusalem, which was ruled by the weak and unstable Fatimid Caliphate. It was in this oppressive and humiliating period of Islamic history that the great Salah ad-Din al-Ayyubi was born. Salah ad-Din would eventually rise to the occasion, expel the Crusaders, and bring dignity, honor, and prosperity back to the Islamic world. He was born into an influential Kurdish family that was highly experienced in political affairs. Salah ad-Din's father and uncle served as military generals in a small Turkic state known as the Zengid Emirate. Salah ad-Din followed the steps of his father and he rose to high ranks within the army of the state. Salah ad-Din had a deep desire to unite the divided Muslim world and expel the European invaders. As well as acquiring knowledge of fighting and warfare from his family, Salah ad-Din also spent his youth studying under the religious scholar known as Ibn Asakir, who played a huge role in shaping the character of Salah ad-Din. In the year 1174, the leader of the Zengid Emirate, known as Nur ad-Din al-Zengi, passed away, and a civil war erupted within the Zengid Emirate when the princes began to fight for control of the state. Salah ad-Din, who by this time was the most powerful general in the Zengid army, managed to put an end to the infighting. After suppressing the power-hungry Zengid rulers, Salah ad-Din declared himself as the new ruler of the state. Therefore, the Zengid dynasty was overthrown and the rule of Salah ad-Din began. After becoming the ruler of this new state, Salah ad-Din began his mission to unite various Muslim states in the region and create a large Islamic empire that could defend Muslims against European invasions. After multiple military expeditions, Salah ad-Din managed to build a massive empire which stretched from modern-day Libya in the west to Iraq in the east, all the way down to Yemen in the south. After gaining power, Salah ad-Din reorganized the state administration, removed all corrupt officials and governors, and made various political reforms. For example, after conquering Egypt, Salah ad-Din converted the extravagant palaces built by the previous Fatimid dynasty into hospitals, markets, and colleges. He also abolished the unpopular tax which was previously imposed on merchants, traders, and manufacturers. Despite ruling over a huge territory, Salah ad-Din lived a simple life and prioritized spending money towards the military and the welfare of the people. On one occasion, Salah ad-Din dismissed the treasurer of Damascus because he built a personal residence for Salah ad-Din in the citadel of Damascus. Throughout his rule, Salah ad-Din was always trying to ensure that the most talented and capable people were in his government. Salah ad-Din filled his government with intelligent advisors and ministers such as the writer and poet known as Osama bin Munqith, and the Persian jurist known as Imaduddin al-Isfahani. Salahuddin also replaced corrupt judges with trustworthy figures. Salahuddin appointed the Islamic scholar known as Bahauddin bin Shaddad as a judge in the province of Aleppo. Under the patronage of Salahuddin, Ibn Shaddad also wrote many great works, such as the book entitled The Virtues of Jihad, which is a collection of the sayings of the Prophet regarding the topic of jihad. Now that the Muslim world was once again strong and united, Salahuddin was inflicting huge losses on the Crusaders, and their territory was decreasing day by day. Salahuddin eventually began preparing for a decisive battle. He combined the armies of Egypt and Syria and formed a single strike force in the face of the Christian Crusaders in order to liberate the city of Jerusalem. Salahuddin defeated the Crusaders at the Battle of Hattin in 1187 and finally liberated the city of Jerusalem. All of the military might of the Crusaders had been annihilated, and the Crusaders were forced to surrender. Upon entering Jerusalem, Salahuddin ensured the safety of all civilians. Christians were allowed to practice their religion freely. Salahuddin also issued a decree declaring that the Jews who had previously been expelled from Jerusalem were now free to settle in the city. Salahuddin refused to demolish the church of the Sepulchre at the request of some Muslims who wanted the church to be demolished in retaliation for what the Christians did to the Al-Aqsa Mosque. Salahuddin refused to demolish the church and reminded the people of the good conduct of the second Muslim Caliph Umar ibn al-Khattab when he conquered the city. He stated, "How can I demolish this church when Umar ibn al-Khattab protected it?" Salahuddin's conquest of Jerusalem marked the beginning of an era of religious tolerance. For example, the Jewish philosopher, astronomer, theologian, and physician known as Maimonides took refuge in Cairo. After coming to Egypt, he was appointed as the personal physician of Salahuddin. Even after conquering Jerusalem, Salahuddin continued to live a simple life with only a few possessions. After the Crusades, Salahuddin focused on rebuilding and developing the infrastructure of the empire which had been damaged by the Crusades. For example, Salahuddin rebuilt the city walls of Cairo, which had been completely destroyed during the war. He also built the Marstan Hospital in Cairo, and he constructed many mosques, schools, and military fortifications. As well as directing state finances towards the welfare of the empire, Salahuddin also spent much of his personal wealth on orphans, widows, and the poor. Before his death, Salahuddin was only left with a wealth of 47 dirhams. Salahuddin al-Ayyubi died in Damascus in the year 1193.
ذي صلاح الدين قد كرت يمينا لن ترى أعينها طيب الوسن جندها لا ترتضي الذل المهين تبذل الأرواح مهرا للوطن تسحق الرجس ولا تخشى الممات اشحذ السيف وحطم قيده هاتفا بالقوم جد للقصاص وثقا بالله واحفظ عهده باذلا نفسك في درب الخلاص اشحذ السيف وحطم قيده هاتفا بالقوم جد للقصاص، وثقا بالله واحفظ عهده، باذلا نفسك في درب الخلاص. من ونى عن حق